This is Swiss and Chips, your British guide to Switzerland.
Hello and welcome to Swiss and Chips. My name is Simon.
And I'm Jo.
And today we're going to talk about skiing.
Yes, indeed we are.
For those of you who listen to us for the first time, every few weeks, Jo and me, we talk about the highs and lows of living and moving to Switzerland, living in and moving to.
That's right.
And basically, we talk about funny misunderstandings between the Swiss and Brits and the dark and bright sides of living in Switzerland. And all of this just to help you move to Switzerland, remove fears, and help you settle in. If you haven't yet, join the Swiss and Chips community for additional content and the member chat. Subscribe for free on swissandchips.com. And now to today's menu. First, we talk about the listener feedback, last week's polls results.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah. And then the Swiss Bytes. Exactly. And skiing update. You went skiing, so that's obviously the most exciting part.
I agree.
Talk about learning Swiss German. And we have a new listener poll for you.
Ooh, goody.
So to start saying things first, the listener poll.
Yes. So last time, in our last episode, we were talking about the curse of the washing room. And if you already live in Switzerland, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, apparently the washing room, this is the shared room in an apartment building where the washing machines and maybe the tumble dryer are. That's the place and the reason why neighbours have the most arguments in Switzerland. It can be a scene of many, uncomfortable, difficult situations.
Yes, and so we asked you, have you had arguments with neighbors over the washing room in Switzerland? And a massive amount of 17 people went to our website and voted.
They said yes, right?
No, it's only 18% who said yes.
Really?
And 29% said no. And 53% went there to say, I just want to know the result.
Okay. Well, maybe people took the poll who don't live here yet, in which case...
they don't have an experience yet.
They don't have that
or
washing
don't
room.
want to is also fair enough. But I would say it's, 2/3 to 1/3 people did not have bad experience yet.
That's great.
So,
I feel much uplifted by this news.
Yeah, it's true. But that's also, I would say, reflects a little bit my feeling. That you can have it very often, but still it's not, most of the times.
True. And, I guess this statistic that we talked about before that, it's the number one cause for an argument. But that's when you've already had an argument. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
If you've got great neighbours, you don't argue. You also don't argue about the washing room, do you?
That's true. Let's move on to Swiss Bytes. Sound effect, please. Today we have to hurry.
Okay.
What's the reason?
Oh my goodness. In approximately 20 minutes time, sirens are going to be going off.
Yes, it's Siren Test Day. So once a year? Is it once a year, I guess?
Once a year, yeah. On the 5th of February, I think is...
In Switzerland, there is the Sirens Test Day. So at 1:30, here in Bern anyway...
I think it's around the whole country.
The sirens will start.
Yes. It's so creepy. In a way, we should maybe, keep recording. Let's see how it goes.
20 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
So,
if you don't know what's coming, it's maybe the creepiest experience of your entire life.
Do you want to tell me that my sound effect wasn't good enough?
It was really good. That's what freaked me out. It sounds just like that, the first one.
Yeah.
They test different type of sirens, which is part of the kind of national emergency alert system.
What do you have to do when you hear this?
Go and turn on the radio.
Exactly. You know that very well.
I am Swiss nowadays.
So, yeah, that's the thing.
And, but they also test the Swiss app as well. Because nowadays there's an emergency.
That's the Swiss Bytes of today.
Oh, goody.
Download this. If you move to Switzerland, I would say even if you come on holiday for a longer period, it's worth to download the Swiss Alerts app. It's an emergency app and they will send you a push notification for anything important. Sometimes it's something like, there is a fire in a specific region. Please close the windows, otherwise your house will be full of smoke. Recently, there was some problem with drinking water in a very small village. So they said, don't drink the water for the time being.
Yep.
But it's good to have. So
absolutely.
We will link to this app in our show notes.
Nice one.
Let's move on to the topic of the day. Why did you come up with this idea?
Well, as long-time listeners of the show will know, you are a former ski instructor and ski aficionado, and I am a beginner person on skis for the last 15 years or so. So I'm a reluctant skier, I think is how you could describe me. But over the past few years, I've learnt to, would I say love it? I'm not sure. I've learnt to quite like it and not hate it. And at the weekend, I went skiing with a friend alone for the first time.
Well, not for the very first time you went skiing alone, but with a friend.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not because I just got a friend. It's because we decided to go skiing with each other.
Yes. So obviously, I've got many questions.
Yes, you weren't there.
Let's start. First, most importantly, did you have a nice day?
We had a great time, yes. A very,
Fantastic.
very nice time. Mm-hmm.
That's most important. Everyone healthy, everyone happy.
Yeah, we're both still alive.
And now let's go through the different stages. Ski passes.
Right, okay.
How did you decide for which ski pass you need and how much was it?
Well, okay. I mean, first of all, you've got to choose where you're going and maybe the cost of the ski pass, you know, how much it's going to cost you to get up in the lifts, maybe also down in the lifts, whatever you're going to do. Maybe that's a factor in where you're going to go. But we also chose where we're going to go because it's your home village and that's where my skis are and that's the place I know the best. So then we looked at the prices of ski passes there because it's also a good place to go as a beginner.
Yeah, and in recent years, there are many different pricing systems.
Absolutely.
Can you tell a bit more about that?
Well, this could maybe be a whole episode on its own, but there are different kinds of passes. Like you can get a big pass. I think it's what's that one called for the big region?
I would say most traditionally you have a day pass for the whole region.
Yeah.
Then you have a day pass for specific places in the region. So let's say there are 2 regions in one place. Let's say Gstaad. And you have 2 regions. There might be one pass for one region A and one pass for region B in Gstaad.
Yeah.
Or one pass for both regions. So you have day passes, half-day passes, which usually start at 11 or 12, sometimes at 1 even.
Yeah.
In specific place in Adelboden, they have 3-hour passes, for example, which start from the time you use it the first time, and then you have to be back within 3 hours.
Otherwise, you just have to keep going round and round on the lift.
Exactly. Very common is also a points card.
Yes, and this is good, I think, when you're going on shorter lifts. So in a lot of beginner areas, they have quite short lifts.
Shorter lift, yeah.
And there it's good to have the points card.
Absolutely.
Because they're not so expensive as a long cable car ride to the top of the mountain.
I would say shorter lifts or not many rides. If you go only once or twice, it might be worth to have a points card. You know, if you go in the morning for one ride and then you have a excessive lunch and you have one ride in the afternoon, it might be cheaper, probably cheaper, a points card than a whole day pass.
That's right.
But anyway, long story short, it's definitely worth to explore a little bit because the prices are quite high. Which card did you choose in the end and how much was it?
Well, as I found out, they have dynamic pricing in Adelboden, which means that the closer you get to the date and time you're going, the more expensive it will be, and it doesn't get cheaper. So if you're willing to take a risk and don't mind skiing when it's not sunny, you can buy it a few weeks in advance and just, go for it, whatever the weather, and then it will be cheapest. Or if you want to wait and know what the weather is like and if everybody can definitely come or so on and so on, then you maybe buy it a bit shorter notice. And I bought mine the day before for a pass that starts at 11 a.m. And it was 77 francs.
Wow, it's just quite expensive. And it's not only when it's closer, it's also, for example, on weekends, it's more expensive or during school holidays.
Peak times. Yeah. But you said that's quite expensive. I was talking to someone else in the past few days about the cost of skiing in Europe versus America, for example. And this person said it's very expensive in some places in the US. So maybe our US listeners are listening and thinking that sounds okay.
Do you know why this is?
Nope.
In the US, they include the endurance in skiing.
Intriguing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's triple the amount in the US, and Canada is also very expensive.
Yeah.
But yes, in comparison, Switzerland is not that expensive, but still it's just for rich people, let's be honest. Especially if you also have to rent skis. Did you rent your skis?
No, I actually am the proud owner of my own pair of skis, my own ski helmet, very importantly. But I did have to invest in a new pair of ski gloves because mine got a hole in them.
Yeah, it's worth it to have your own stuff if you ski for a few years. You can also rent all the things in several places and for the day, or sometimes at many sport shops, there are also different possibilities.
You can rent like for the season, you can rent for the day, you can rent for a week, whatever you want, really.
Yeah, and the advantage is you don't need to buy a new pair of skis. You have obviously the latest equipment and quite good equipment if you rent it. But if you have your own, it's just more fun, isn't it?
If you have your own, I think that's nice because you also know what you're getting every time. I've also rented skis, for the day. And then you have quite a lot of hassle at the beginning of the day of going and trying on boots and holding skis and testing poles. And, if you're a beginner and maybe sort of not really sure what you're doing anyway, you have to go through quite a big, I won't say ordeal, but you have to do this before you even get to go on the cable car then learn how to ski. But, if you're just going for the day because you want to try it out for the first time, then of course you just rent, don't you?
It's true.
It's not that bad.
And you said you went where I grew up in Adelboden, and it's obviously a very big ski region. Yep. Did you find that good, or you prefer smaller regions?
Oh, difficult question. I mean, I think it's good to get advice on where to go. So obviously I know a lot about this region and we've been to various places. So I was able to take my friend to a place that I know well and I know how to get there and I know what it's like. So I think if you're going somewhere for the first time, then look for recommendations online about what would suit you best, or ask people that you know or at work where they could recommend, and, be clear about what you really want. If you want a flat, wide beginner piste, then look for that. Try and look at pictures and ask people.
How did you find the beginner piste?
Well, I've been on them quite a few times, and one of them I know really, really well. It's not that wide, but it's very quiet, which I think was important for me anyway. Because when you're on, sometimes you can be on a blue piste, a beginner's piste, but there's still a lot of people kind of flying around you to go somewhere else, or coming from, a red slope maybe, and they're whizzing past you. So you spend quite a lot of time sort of looking over your shoulders. So
what's a blue and the red slope?
Blue is the beginner's one, like I just said.
But how do you recognize them?
Oh, they have on the map, they're marked as blue. You can look at the map before you go.
And when you're there?
They have blue poles.
They've got poles, wooden poles on the side.
That's right, yeah.
Yes.
And also little signs. Each, route has a number.
What happens if you start to see black poles?
Stay where you are and ring for the air ambulance.
Which is the number?
1414.
I think it's one important thing to mention here as well. It's the Rega.
Yep.
And it's the air ambulance.
Yeah, air rescue.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. If you move to Switzerland, I think it's worth paying for them. I can't remember how much it is. Is it 40 francs a year, I think?
I don't know. It's not too much.
I think it's something like $40 a year, and they rescue you for free. And in the mountains, it's definitely the first number to call, 1414. And it's a number to know, I would say. If you go skiing, you should know it. Also, if you go hiking. And what people don't know, I think they also bring you back from other countries for free if you can't go by yourself. So I think it's an insurance worth having in Switzerland.
I agree. Yep.
If you wouldn't have gone to Adelboden skiing,
where would I have gone? Good point. I wanted to say one more thing about the blue piste though, before I say about the other places. What's quite interesting, in my opinion, is that not all blue pistes are equal, but you won't really know about that until you get there.
That's true.
Or you know someone who knows the piste really well.
That's true.
Because we went on two different ones. The first one was perfect, exactly what we were looking for. The second one had some very steep but short bits in it, which, in my opinion, don't belong on a beginner's piste, but it was okay. So, you never know exactly what it's going to be like.
It's true, yeah.
So try and get as many recommendations from people who know it as you can. I think that's a good idea. So where else?
Yes.
What's your question? Well, there are also quite a few smaller locations to go skiing to, which, I didn't know about for quite a long time. And then you slowly start to find out, if you ask people, they tell you about small places that you could go to. And they can also be really nice, I think. Much less crowded. Maybe if you're going in the car, you can park just over the road from where you're going to start skiing, which is great. You don't have to travel so far, or the bus might drop you off right at the bottom of the piste or the lift or whatever. So these things are also pretty nice. And it can be, I think, quite nice for a beginner to also be in a place where there aren't so many people. You know, at the big ski regions, there are so many people flying around and queues, and you've got quite a complicated map. You know, it just depends what you're after, I think.
That's true. I think the big advantage of this is that A, it's much cheaper. B, you can see usually it's like 1 or 2 lifts and you can see where you're going. You can't get lost. So there's one worry less. And I forgot the third point.
I don't know. Shorter queues, maybe?
Oh, no. The longer queues often, because there are often slower lifts. But the advantage is you queue maybe a little bit, but then you don't have too many people on the piste. And that's where the danger starts. If you are on the piste with too many people who are maybe fast and slow and so on, all mixed and mashed together. If you are in a big ski regions, often they have cable cars or these lifts with 6 people that can go on it on a chair.
Chairlift, yeah.
And obviously you never queue and you're up there extremely fast, but that means all the people in the region will be on the piste and not queuing, in comparison to a small region where people might be queuing, but then there are not so many people on the lift. So it's definitely worth looking at, I think.
Agreed.
Apropos.
Yes.
Is that a word? Is that the word in English as well? Apropos.
We can say that, yeah.
Okay. Apropos queuing.
Yes. We've talked about this before. It's a big topic.
We did, yeah. But is there any ski rules or etiquette otherwise that you came across?
Well, people are a little bit. Yes.
Is there any fat thing that you stood in?
What?
There's
a
Swiss saying. In ein Fettnäpfchen treten.
Oh, did I make any blunders, you mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Did I have
It's not as funny as in German then. No fat thing you can jump in then.
Unless you mean sort of large balls of snow. I tend to ski around those.
No. All right. Any blunders?
You mean like in terms of politeness in interactions with other people? Okay, well, first of all, let me say about the queuing. People, get a bit crazy in queues for ski lifts.
It's about life and death.
There's a lot of shuffling and shoving and banging around with ski poles and clunky boots and things. Just try, keep calm, stand your position and go through. Everyone's going to get on. And if people want to, shove in stuff, don't pick a fight with them. They're armed with ski poles.
Yeah.
They
paid a lot of money and they want to go skiing.
Yeah.
That's what happens there.
Calm. Yeah, people get pretty weird about the ski lifts, I must say. For example, one time I was standing waiting for the cable car to go somewhere and someone came through and the cable car doors open automatically. That's also something I learnt a few years ago because I was like, how am I going to close these doors on my cable car? But then they close by themselves. Anyway, and they also open. Someone had managed to close their doors when it came into the middle station and then they both kind of put their heads down to try and look like the doors weren't working or something, so no one else could get in the cable car with them. Anyway, you'll see lots of that stuff. Your question was, did I make any faux pas?
Yeah.
Right. So after this cable car went past, I got in the next one where there were 2 people just sitting, said hi. You can say hi when you get in. And it was a very sunny day and we were going down in the cable car and I just reached up and, opened the tiny window. And I was on the phone to you, actually, talking in English, and these people were sitting talking in German, and they had not heard me really speak German till then. And then I could hear them discussing with each other, why did she open the window? And then one of the people said to the other one, oh, because you smell, kind of thing, ha, joke. And then I was like, no one smells, it was just really hot in here. And then we all laughed.
Oh.
Yeah, it was fun. We ended up having a really nice discussion because one of the people in the lift was saying they just went up for hiking. They didn't go skiing because she said, I've decided I'm just too old to learn to ski now. She said, at some point you just decide you're just too old and you don't want to do it.
I agree.
And I said, fair enough for you, so long as you had a good time, that's all that matters.
Yeah, she straight went into après-ski.
Exactly.
I think we could talk about après-ski, but I think it's better to make this a whole different episode because we're already 20 minutes in. So let's move on to learning Swiss.
German.
German with Swiss and chips. And the word today is Spitzcheeri. We have to be completely transparent here.
Mm-hmm.
The word is too complicated for me to explain. So
Well,
I said,
you've tried, but it took a bit of acting.
So I said to you before we record, I said, I have a word, but it will not work. I just, I would like to explain the word, but it's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I explained it to you before and say it. Maybe you can explain what it is. And then also that took quite a while. So I tried to look up.
We did
English
a dry
word.
run. Yep.
So do you want to try and explain it? Spitzcheeri.
Right. Well, that means roughly translated something like pointy turn.
Yes.
And I said, is it when you put your pole in the ground and then sort of spin around it on skis? At which point you said no. That was my first guess, but I wasn't far off. It's something to do with sort of flipping your skis around one at a time. Flip, flip, and turning in the process. So your ski goes up in the air and whoosh, flops down on the other side.
It sounds much more spectacular than it is.
Pretty cool.
In English, I tried to look it up. It seems to be like a kick turn.
Uh-huh.
But what you do is like the lower ski.
Yes.
You stand up and the back bit goes in the snow. And then you let the front bit flop down to the other side. And then you just take the other ski and turn around.
Yeah. The funny thing about this is...
turn on the point.
You say this doesn't sound that spectacular, but can you even imagine doing this as a person who... I can't even imagine putting my ski on the pointy bit.
Yeah, but it's very simple. It's not on the pointy bit, it's on the back bit.
Yeah, well, that's, vaguely pointy.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, so it's basically turning where you are. I'm not sure. I'll try to find a video and link it in the show notes.
I'm pretty sure there was someone who was always doing this. That guy who I said had the Ovaltine, who was sponsored by Ovaltine. Doesn't he do that in the advert for it, like 10 years ago? Doesn't he turn around and eat the biscuit or something?
I've got absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
He was a ski racer and he was sponsored by Ovaltine. You know who I mean?
Yeah, Didier Kusch.
Right, but doesn't he do that pointy turn?
No, he takes off his skis and flips it.
Right, he kicks off his skis. Okay.
I'll also try to find a video of this.
Yes, please. These moves are vaguely related, I think.
All right. Now, let's move on to our listener poll for this week or this period.
This episode.
And we want to know of our listeners, what's their relationship with skiing? Do you love it or hate it? Should we also have, I just want to know the results? Or are 50% of them just going to say, I just want to know the result? We'll have it for you.
I think there's also something in between, There might also be, I quite like it.
Only because you want to. You will have to decide.
I've met people who quite like it.
Yes, they will have to decide. They will have to say yes or no. Love the skis or burn the skis. They will have to decide. You have to decide. Otherwise, everyone will take the middle, especially if they're Swiss. Too long in Switzerland, you will just always be diplomatic.
We'll see. Okay.
All right. So, don't forget to go to our website and vote. And that was it for today. Or is there anything else you want to get rid of? Any snowballs that are still in your mouth that you want to spit out?
That's not a Swiss phrase, is it?
Any ski sticks that you want to throw into the microphone?
No, I don't think so.
Right.
If you're learning to ski, I'd also like to hear how's it going.
All right. So that was it for today.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.